The arena filled with cheers. The roaring audience awaited the next match. Brent strolled onto the floor, waving his muscular arm to the crowd. His past matches had earned him the favor of many spectators, but so had his foe. The gates opened. Proudly, his opponent stepped forward. Sunlight glistened off the shapely armor. The Amazon adjusted her spear and shield as she faced down the much larger barbarian. The gong rang, and the two rushed towards each other. His axe met her shield, and the sound was heard by all. Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventures. I'm your guide, Jason. Today, we turn our attention to the infamous female warriors known as the Amazons. Let's see what was the legends with these fierce warriors. The Amazons were a nation or tribe of warrior women coming from Greek mythology. They are described as being fierce warriors that fought against and with the Greek heroes. They lived on the edges of the civilized world, with their capital being called Themyscira, a place where no man was allowed to enter. Almost. Theories place it in the country of Georgia, or Turkey, along the Black Sea. Their first queen, Ultra, was the child of Ares, god of war, and a nymph named Harmonia. Ares would eventually take Ultra as a consort and bring forth several daughters: Antiope, Melapia, Hippolyta, and Penthesilea. After that, they needed outside help to increase their numbers, and there were two documented methods. First up, a pseudo-alliance with the all-male Gargarians. These two separate people would meet once a year in the spring. Afterwards, the Amazons would give birth. Either they would kill their sons, usually by throwing them off cliffs, or just abandoning them in the woods. This may sound cruel, but was actually very common in the ancient world. It is found in the story of Paris of Troy, Semiramis, queen of Syria, Atalanta, the female Argonaut, Romulus and Remus, and Oedipus, to name a few. But the sons which weren't put to death were sent back to their fathers. The second way came in the conquest of war. While abroad, the Amazons would conceive a child and return home. Or well, to put it bluntly, death by snoo-snoo. Yeah, that was a real thing. They would board sailing vessels and take the men. But procreation wasn't the only time the Amazons interacted with men. The Amazons were raiders. They invaded and stole from many lands throughout the Mediterranean area. This led to a battle with the Greek hero Bellerophon, who defeated them by dropping boulders from the back of Pegasus. They also appear as one of the 12 laborers of Heracles. He was sent to collect the girl from Hippolyta, who was the current queen of the Amazons. How it plays out varies with the stories. In some, there was a battle, but in others, a test. And in yet another, their meeting ended up friendly. I'm leaning more towards the last one, due to a rather interesting story which occurs here. You see, the hero Theseus traveled with Heracles to Themyscira. Again, there is a little deviation on this story. Either Hippolyta or her sister Antiope developed a relationship with Theseus, or was abducted by the Greek heroes. They would return home to Athens, where she would give birth to Hippolytus, their son. A battle would play out with the Amazons attacking, and Hippolyta was killed, which does lead me to believe that she did fall in love with Theseus. In time, Hippolytus would grow up but reject everything with sex and love, and offends Aphrodite as he will only worship the virgin goddess Artemis. And guess what? Aphrodite gets mad and curses Theseus' second wife Phaedra to fall in love with the young Hippolytus. But he rejects her, and she replies by accusing him of assaulting her, which was a lie. Theseus won't hear his son's side of the story, and curses him with Poseidon's fury. who was partially Theseus' father. Trust me, that story gets weird. Hippolytus runs away, but Poseidon's curse sends a sea monster, which causes Hippolytus' chariot to crash, leading to his death. But only after Artemis tells Theseus the truth about his son. We also have the Amazon who killed Hippolyta, her own sister, Penthesilea. Penthesilea and 12 other Amazons fought alongside the Trojan army, but was killed by Achilles in a one-on-one duel. He fell in love with her after the battle though, killed a man for mocking him, and then left to go purify himself. Oh, and there was a war between the Amazons and Dionysus. Does that surprise anyone? Supposedly, the last known queen of the Amazons was Thalastris. She supposedly met with Alexander the Great, yet there was nothing further in their meeting, and it is questioned. They have a varied history, sometimes villains, and others allies. Were they evil? Well, no. By the virtues and beliefs of their time, their behavior was mostly typical. Could a society like this truly exist? The key issue is a society is something that lasts for multiple generations. If it was one generation, that would be fine, but multiple generations, there are issues. If they weren't warriors, maybe with reliable interactions with the Gargarians. The problem is when they leave home to meet men, or go to war. Why? Well, many Amazons didn't return home. There are reports of Amazons falling in love and choosing to remain with men in their homelands. Or like Penthesilea, who died in battle. Why is all this important? Population growth rates. For a population to grow, each generation needs to produce enough children to replace their parents and more. For all mammalian species, population growth rates are controlled by the number of females in the population. In most societies with men and women, you need 2 children per couple to maintain the population. But with the Amazons, we only need 1. If each Amazon can have 1 child, then the population will be stable. But they go to war, they go on pilgrimages, and they don't return. To further complicate the matter, the ancient world had a high child mortality rate. For the most part, if a child could reach adulthood, and mothers not dying in childbirth, they had a high chance of dying of old age, 60 to 80 years old. This is where the Gregarians are important to maintain the Amazons' population. A safe meeting without bloodshed. On average, most women had around 9 children, with a higher mortality rating, but only 2 would reach adulthood usually. Here is a little math to explain. Let's say a population has 10 men and 10 women, 20 in total. Let's say the village is frequently attacked, and let's only use the men to defend. Let's say a high mortality in battle, and only 2 men survive, but you still have 10 women. If each woman has 2 children, that is 20 children, and enough to replace the population, assuming no additional mortality issues. Now, let's say we add in the women to battle, but more people in the fight lowers mortality, doubles the survival rate. So 4 men and 4 women survive. But now, to replace the population, we need each woman to have 5 children. That's a lot more difficult. So, if we look at the Amazons, where they are all combatants, so 2 of 10 survives. We end up with each woman needing a whopping 10 children. There is a reason why we see so few female warriors in history. Even matriarchal societies like the Hopi, Navajo, and Cherokee used male warriors. This is then made even more complicated when you factor in the logistics of a society. You need builders, craftsmen, hunters, fishers, farmers, miners, people who provide for the supply lines in combat, while also needing those who defend on the home front. While yes, it is theoretically possible, it isn't without difficulty, and they would definitely benefit from having an alliance with the all-male Gagarians, just to keep their numbers up. It is very possible by the time that Alexander the Great came around, the Amazon society was in total collapse. Would a culture like this exist in a fantasy world? Oh, most definitely. They would have the same problems as others, but if they are too warlike, it will make it difficult for them to exist due to the population replacement issues being exacerbated in a more dangerous world. It is said that the Amazons were incredible warriors who stood their ground with men. But in most of their stories, they lose. They lose to Bellerophon, to Heracles and Theseus in the version where they fought, against Theseus in Athens later on, and against Achilles. So were they really up to snuff? Women have been used in battle, rarely for offensive campaigns. Usually, women are used to defend the home front. Anyone can pick up a sword and shield and die by them. Let's be honest, there is a difference between the strength and speed of men and women. The fastest marathon time for a man is 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 40 seconds. But for women, 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 4 seconds. For the 100-meter sprint, the fastest man is 9.8 seconds, and 10.49 seconds for women. For the deadlift, the male record is 1,104.5 pounds, and for women it is only 636 pounds. I know that doesn't factor in ambition and number of competitors into it, but it does give us an idea of the difference between the genders. But does it matter? Now, I have practiced historical European martial arts, Kenpo, and archery for a while, and even had the opportunity to work with the American Jousting League for a bit with my job. So I do have some combat experience, but I will not call myself a master. From that, I can say that strength does have an effect, but technique can overcome raw speed and strength. The Amazons were said to be well-trained warriors, with several being demigods. So they will have the skill to exploit a less skilled opponent. But at the same skill level, their chances of victory does drop. The fight is usually more about endurance than brute strength. Most ancient battles had surges in battle, then forces would break off for a time to recuperate rather than several hour-long melees. Most swords weigh somewhere in the range of about 5 pounds to 8 pounds. While not heavy, you can start feeling it after several minutes of sparring or a real battle. Greater strength does tend to mean more endurance. Thus, in a fight of equal skill, men are more likely to win. But is close quarter combat their best option? No. They are said to be phenomenal archers, going so far as to remove their right breast to better wield their bows. That story comes from only one source, Marcus Justinius of the Roman Empire. Does that even make sense? Well, I've known many women who practice archery, and they can do it without removing their breast. The exception could be if they are very well endowed in the chest. Otherwise, with proper technique, they shouldn't need to remove their breast. Would a bow work well for them? War bows usually have a draw weight of around 100 pounds of force, so fatigue is a bigger issue again. But there is a clue in Hippolyta's name. It roughly translates to "she who unleashes horses," and Amazons were well documented using them. With spears on horseback, this opens up hit-and-run strategies. With a lighter rider, it puts less strain on the horse and better for a long fight. But there is one area where women do dominate: famines, periods of low nutrition and high activity. What am I talking about? The average man needs around 3,000 calories a day, but a woman is around 2,000 calories. To sustain their bodies, men need to eat more. That means the best tactic for the Amazons to win a battle is to disrupt food supplies and drag them into a fight of attrition. This would be the ideal way for them to fight. Now we need armor. They are said to wear armor similar to that of Athena. Most pieces of ancient Greek art and statues shows her in a peplus-style dress with a shield. Sometimes she has some chest armor, normally bronze. We know the Greek warriors used bronze cuirasses and breastplates. So should the Amazons. But would it be boob plate armor? I mentioned working with the American Jousting League, where I did learn to help fit armor properly to prevent injury. You don't want it laying directly on your chest. You want about 2 inches of clearance over your chest, with the force transferred to your hips mostly, a little to your sides, and over your upper trapezius muscle, the same as a hiker's backpack, none through your chest or back. In addition, you might wear some cushioning material underneath. So you do want armor that does fit your figure. So with a larger chested woman, you would at least want a mono boob shape for your armor for comfort and safety. And it would definitely be something that the ancient Greeks could make. Remember, armor needs to fit right to protect you. The rest of the Greeks had cuirasses with chiseled male physiques. So the skill to make boob plate armor is simple. And no, the cleavage wouldn't create a weakness in the armor. This is wasp thin waist plate armor. This style lasted for decades on the battlefield. If boob plate armor was well made, a little cleavage wouldn't be an issue. Overall, the Amazons are human with a few demigods. Same as any other group of humans, and why I'm giving them a 3 out of 10 for difficulty. Same as other humans. They literally are just another human nation. One with an odd demographic. The barbarian rolled over in the bed. He was sore from the match, and the rematch that he and the Amazon had in the inn. She was already dressing, and would be heading home, as soon as she showed the first signs of being with child. He may have won the first bout, but the second was still undecided. The Amazons have an interesting history and place throughout Greek mythology. Their unique status as female warriors leads them to stand out from the mostly other military factions. You cannot argue with their lasting fame. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next week, where we shall meet the mighty Indrex. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.